Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a fantastic guest for you today, Brandon Gano, founder and CEO of WhadIf. He's going to he gives small business owners their time back, and it's going to be a fantastic conversation for the audience, talking about business, growth, operator to owner, and time freedom. So, Brandon, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Christopher. Excited to be here. Those are all my favorite topics. Just hearing them, I'm already excited.
Yeah. I know what I love is so kind of talk about your background, what you do, how you got into it, and how the audience can benefit from your expertise.
Yeah, so it sounds like many of your listeners, just from the quick background you gave me, I was working a job. I went to college for business. I thought I wanted to run a business, manage a business. I started doing that and I'm like, this isn't that fun. I'd rather maybe do this on my own. So I was, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago at this point, started my first business, my first real entrepreneurial venture, we'll say. I always dabbled with entrepreneurship in my teens, but my first real big boy business, and it went really, really well. It was fun. It was great to start something from nothing, be able to grow that. But I found myself in that trap that a lot of business owners find themselves in, where I was working way too much. I was the center of the business. I was making all the decisions. Even when I had employees, I was still working 80 plus hours a week, and it was killing me. So I said, there's got to be a better way. Like this is not the business ownership life that I wanted. This was job ownership. And it's terrible because when you divide those hours out, like you're technically making like $3.46 an hour because you're working so much, even though like you may have a six-figure salary, it doesn't make sense. So I was like, there's a better way. Let's figure this out. So in a very short period of time, I implemented a couple of things that we take our clients through now and in my current business of WhadIf. And I was able to go from 80 hours a week down to about 3 to 5 on average in about 6 months. So it was quite the process. It was definitely an experience for sure. Um, but I was like, all right, this is cool. This is business ownership. Finally, like I'm not required to be here day to day to make decisions, and making that transition opened my eyes to what was really possible in business. And I wanted to give that back to other people. So I ended up actually turning that business into a franchise. Didn't pursue that route because of a number of different things, but we can go there if you want. But if not, we'll just say a lot of different reasons. Not a good route for me. But I did stumble upon my business partner. We met at a mastermind, and he has 25 years of experience consulting with the Fortune 100, the biggest companies in the world. And we both share this passion for helping small business owners. So we took his knowledge and expertise of the right way to run and scale a massive business, and we brought that down to small business owners, and we packaged it up in a way that it's repeatable, it's relatively simple, and it's affordable, more importantly, because we're not dealing with those big organizations. So we absolutely love helping our small business owners grow really, really quickly and get their time back.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of we're talking about basically we're talking about time freedom is what you're describing, and basically where you're a business owner versus a business operator. So we'll dive into the conversation. So first question I have for you is because you talked about renting an income, which is basically working for someone, and then a job, then owning a job, which is basically you're self-employed to business owner. Kind of share the key steps to make these transitions, and how can individuals listening to this do it very quickly so they can scale their time.
I don't know that I'm fully qualified to give the best advice when going from a job to starting a business, because what I did was cold turkey. And I don't advise that necessarily. If that's for you, that's for you. But that's kind of how I operate. I go all in on things, and I really commit to them. So for me, it was I had enough savings to make sure that I wasn't gonna like starve in 2 weeks if it didn't work out. So that was part of it for sure. But I I knew what I was doing. I knew how to run this business. I had been in this industry for years at this point. So the only thing I hadn't done was manage the whole structure of that business, because I was, again, in a job, not the owner seat, or the operator seat. So I would say if that's the transition you're looking to make, you are employed, you're renting your income, as you mentioned, and you want to make the jump into entrepreneurship, you first have to understand how far you want to go, right? Because there's a side hustle, there's owning a job, being self-employed, and then there's business owner. I think we all need to start with during that transition, probably either owning a job or side hustle to some degree and prove the concept. Make sure you're qualified to do that thing, whatever that industry is that you're jumping into. And then once you have that success, whatever, however you define that, then you could take that next step and go a little bit further. Maybe you can go from full-time to part-time at your job and increase the available hours to do your side hustle or your self-employment. I've seen that a number of people do that. And then there's the other extreme where you could just you have the fantastic idea, you wholeheartedly believe in it. I get a little uncomfortable even saying this, but you can go get a loan and start a business and just kind of fund yourself, whether it's a VC, you go to a bank, an angel investor, parents, siblings, whatever. You can have that funded and go jump in if you want to jump in with both feet. I just personally don't love that. Even for us and our clients today, we serve established businesses, 6, 7 figure revenue businesses, and even if they start new product lines, new revenue streams, we have them kind of test the waters, if you will. Like, don't jump in all the way. Don't go take loans. Don't put things on credit cards. Don't hire employees that you don't need. Like, let's figure out a way to test it. So, like I said, I don't know if I'm fully qualified to give that answer. I know what I did, and I know what I have worked with other people to do, but I guess it's really a what can you tolerate kind of a question, right? Is like, how far do you want to go in either direction? How long do you want to put up with your job? Or how big of a loan do you want to take out? It's what's your appetite?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Because basically I asked that question because I wanna, because each transition is very rocky. If you so it's kind of like it's great to have someone along each step of the way. And what kind of the next question is you talk about the 4Ds: delegate or delete, delegate, delay, and how can a business owner leverage this strategy?
Yeah, so this for us is one of the keys in getting your time back. So a lot of people will come to us, again, established businesses, they have employees, they have they're making sales, they're making profit, and they want their time back. That's the one thing you really can't buy, right? I mean, you have to strategically position yourself to be able to reclaim your time. And most people don't prioritize that when growing a business. They prioritize the revenue, the profit, the leads, the employees, all these other things that are fine. But we forget that we need to control our calendars to the highest degree that we can. So people will come to us and say, I'm overworked, I'm burnt out, I want more time. I want the freedom that I started my business for. And I'm just not there. I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, much like I was in my past. So the first thing we're going to do, even before the 4Ds, is just a quick time study. Like, we really want to understand where our time is going, because we can do a number of things. First and foremost, even before the 4Ds, is say, okay, based on this time study that you've done for 5 business days, like 1 week, it's not extensive. Where are you spending your time? Is it in areas of the business that's in your zone of genius? Is it revenue generating activities, or is it kind of just busy work? And the second kind of side of that is, how often are you switching mentalities? And what I mean by that is, a lot of us think that we can multitask, especially business owners. And it's really, I like to look at it as hyper task switching, not multitasking, because really you can never do 2 things at the same time. Like, I can't be typing over here and talking to you at the same time. It's just not, neither one's going to go well. But we do things back to back to back, and in 1 minute we're uploading YouTube videos to our social media, and then we're having this interview, and then we're going to do emails, and your brain doesn't catch up. So you're actually not performing those tasks at the highest level. So what we try to do first is, let's get your days in line. So for me personally, I take days of the week where I only do certain activities. For example, I host a podcast. I only record podcasts on Tuesdays where I'm the host. So I know that Tuesdays, I just have to show up as this person all day long, start to finish. No one on my team contacts me. They know it's Tuesday, not even for an emergency. Please see me on Wednesday. because I know a Monday night going to bed, I know who I am tomorrow. Not that I'm like a psychopath and I put on different personalities, but I show up with a different energy and intention and focus rather than on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. That's when we have client consulting meetings. So I know I am now fractional COO on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning, and then Friday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoon. That's when I do things like this recording. I get guests on other podcasts. I speak, I do workshops in other communities. I know which hats I'm wearing and when, so that my mind is never switching. I'm always 100% focused and present. So that's kind of phase one, right? And then to answer your question about the 4Ds, because I believe this is truly valuable, we want to filter every opportunity or problem that comes our way through these 4 filters. So you mentioned them. They are delete, delay, delegate, and do. And we do them in that order. Typically, entrepreneurs will do them in the reverse order, where they think, oh, I can do this, yes, or I can delegate it, I can delete it, whatever. So we want to say if something comes in, let's say an email comes in and says, we have the greatest opportunity under the sun. Can I delete this? Can I never think about this opportunity or email again? I want to get as many things out of my way as possible. It could even be a problem, air quotes, problem that comes up in your business. Can I actually delete this? Is this really a problem? Can I just ignore it? If you do need to address the thing, so that's delete, right? We move to delay. Like we actually have to address this, or this is a good opportunity. It's in line with our company and where we're going. Do we have to do it now? Or can we push this off a little bit? So can we push it off till the end of the week, next week? Can we push it off to next quarter even? Get it as far out as possible. Again, so you remain hyper focused on what you're doing now. If you can't delay it, then I would want to at least look to delegate it. It doesn't have to be me, hopefully. Let's get it to someone on my team. This could be to a VA. It could be a third-party company. If your website breaks or something, you could hire a developer on Upwork or Fiverr that could take care of whatever that issue is. So you're delegating it. But it doesn't have to be solved by me right now. If I can't delete, delay, or delegate it, and it must be done by me, that we call is the golden line. That's the filter, right? So these are things that you uniquely are equipped to do in your business, whether it's as the owner, whatever position you're in. These are the things that must be prioritized, and you want to put them first on your calendar. So these are the things that hopefully are going to move the business forward, drive revenue, increase profitability, help you reclaim your time ultimately. But once you go through that filter, you can see that most people, because they attack it in the opposite order, they're just saying, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. And then their calendar gets overwhelmed. If we eliminate 75+% of what you're doing, and then we strategize your calendar to make it organized into buckets of activity rather than just chaos from top to bottom, your mind is now focused and present, like I said, and you've eliminated all of the noise. So you can go through your week, and we typically take our clients, it takes 3 to 6 months, but we get them 50% of their time back. This is just one of the pieces, but they're immensely focused. And as a side effect of all of this, their revenue and their profit increases in those 6 months. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I love this, how you compartmentalize it. And they talk about time as the ultimate asset. And what's interesting is, this brought up this idea because, for example, a lot of the audience are doctors and they have very high incomes, but they don't have time, right? And then there's also a cohort where it's like, young entrepreneurs, they have a lot of time. Like they have time freedom, but they don't have financial freedom. They're hustling for the next client. They're struggling. They gotta bootstrap and they gotta make ends meet. But basically they have a lot of time. So how do you reconcile this difference between time freedom and financial freedom? Like what's the balance?
You can't have one without the other, or it's not worth it. I mean, the math equation that we use is time multiplied by money equals freedom. So we actually don't even put freedom with either of the other words. The amount of time you have in addition or multiplication in my example, relative to the amount of money you have equals the amount of freedom you have. So if you have, let's use doctors. I love working with doctors, lawyers, CPAs, the people who think, yes, I'm calling you out, think that you have to trade your time for money. That's one of my favorite conversations. The people that think they have to trade their time for money, let's say a doctor's making 250,000 a year. They're working probably anywhere from 50 to 70 hours a week, depending on what they're doing. Um, you have no freedom. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna just say it straight out because you're physically in an office too. That's the other thing. So you have the travel time. You're physically in a location for that many hours a week, plus the travel time, and then your job is mentally taxing. I mean, regardless of what discipline of medicine you're in, or law, or accounting, that is a mentally taxing position. I would assume you don't have the mental capacity at the end of the day, or the end of the week to really relax and have that freedom. You need probably a day or two to relax before you even to go on vacation and truly enjoy the freedom. So I have actually a couple of my friends, a couple of my college roommates are doctors, and I see this play out. I've seen this play out personally in my life. They make a whole lot of money, and we'll catch up at weddings, or friend reunions, stuff like that, and they're beat. They're exhausted. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it on their face, and they make a lot more money than a lot of people do. There's zero fulfillment and zero freedom. So in that conversation of where is the balance, you have to get away from the time for money trade. And I know everybody on the internet says that. I don't want to be one of those people. I want to tell you how to do it more importantly than you just should do it. It's nuanced for everybody, but there's creative ways to do it. So we've partnered with a couple of other agencies, like a marketing agency, for example, where they work with a lot of doctors, and we help go in and say, what can we strategically do with this business that the client would still pay for your service, but not necessarily for your time. We still want to get 50% of their time back so that they can provide value. They can provide the service to the client that is promised. It's their brand value, but we can get them out of the delivery of that product. So there's always ways to do that. Doctors, accountants, lawyers. But you have to be intentional with that and be able to execute towards that outcome, because again, without time, I don't care how much money you have, you can't enjoy it and you don't have freedom. And on the flip side, without money, I don't care how much time you have, you still have no freedom. So you have to have both, and there has to be a balance between the two so that that equation can actually be effective.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this it also brought to mind, it's kind of like it's like it's like the boomers, they have like they've built up a lot of worth and assets, and but then like they're still working, and they may still need to work because they're living longer, and they don't have time, right? It's like, but then like you have a young Gen Z millennial, who's but now you have a lot of options, and now he or she's got their whole life ahead of them. So it's interesting. Which the other you brought up so many interesting points during that time, and it was interesting because I was listening to this podcast where they were talking about some of the billionaires, and they were saying that first thing is, you don't charge for your time, you charge for the service or product, and you learn how to very rapidly compress that. And then the rich, they don't work for money, they learn how to use money to work for them. So how do you kind of ending it, how do you implement and integrate Harmonious? Because your approach with Harmonious aims to simplify processes and explain how the system can be integrated, and how can people reach you and contact you.
Yeah. So if any of this is interesting to you, if you are in that position where you own a business or you own a job and you want to learn a little bit more about this, getting 50% of your time back in the next 90 days, we have a 3-part audio series where you can do just that. We walk you through it. It's customized to your business because we teach principles, not tactics. Very clear distinction there. So whatif.com/clarity, it'll get you access to that. It'll take you about 30 minutes to listen to the whole thing. And it'll, like I said, build you that custom roadmap as long as you go through and follow the training. To answer your question though, is Harmonious is a big thing. It's our version of a business model or a business operating system. It's completely proprietary. I'm sure You and the listeners have heard other things like Michael Gerber's E-Myth, the E-Myth book. That's a business operating system. EOS, the book Traction, that's a business operating system. These are all systems that are kind of templated business models, business in a box, if you will, and they don't always work because they're based on the commonly accepted business model that is seen in these giant corporate structures that we've been inside of. So we know they're broken firsthand. When you bring that down to small business, all chaos breaks loose, and it's really not efficient to scale. It's not profitable. Everyone wants to pull their hair out. It's no fun. So we want to make business fun. We want to make it light. Our simplified version is we customize to every one of our clients. And we can do that, again, even in a 3-part audio series where I'm not physically there and consulting you. We know how to help people identify the gaps in their business and the opportunities, and to be able to build a plan to execute around those. So Harmonious it's an acronym. It's the 10 fundamental disciplines that are present in all business, no matter the size, scale, structure, or industry. These are present, and to the degree you know them and maximize them is the degree you'll be successful. So it's a big lift to go into that here. I won't go into all of it, but really what we do is we work in phases. So with our clients in the first 90 days that we're working with them, we get absolute crystal clarity on where your business is, who you are, who you serve, how you serve them, and we want to understand that foundation. The second part is we want to get a confident plan together. We want to say, okay, based on where we are and then also where we want to go, what's the plan that's going to get us there? We have a 5-year plan, but we also have a 90-day execution plan. So we want to just execute on this every single day. And the third part is simply just measuring, monitoring, and revising. And we do that every 90 days. We just repeat this cycle. It's like a wheel. It's super boring, but that's actually what helps businesses grow, is by executing on the boring, not sexy stuff. And then we can throw in the fun at the same time. But you keep doing this over and over and over, and businesses start to grow exponentially. And typically we get a 50% to 100% increase in our clients in just the first 12 months.
Nice. Yeah. And how can people I find you on your socials and reach out to you and find out more about you?
I just talk about this stuff, so you don't want to do that. Just go to whatif.com/clarity. If you want to do that, if you're like, that's super boring, I really don't want to listen to an audio series, the only other thing I would want you to do is maybe check out our podcast. We have a lot of fun. We bring on, it's exclusively guest interviews. It's called Harmonious at Lunch. So if you search that on wherever you find podcasts or YouTube, we're on there as well. But yeah, subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us some hate comments, whatever you want. It's okay. It's all awesome. We'll interact with you and hopefully help you grow your business. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, and I love that. And for all the audience, let's thank Brandon for coming on and talking about time freedom, and give his socials a like and follow. And with that, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was